Hi, this is Basketball Tall. Thank you for joining my channel. And if someone else have done it, you can do it too. So I bring to you real substance in the form of real people from many different professions, occupations that have had the degree of success in their lives. And I want to bring all of that to you on a weekly basis. Today I have with me Coach Jeff Coleman of Kilgore High School. So please stay tuned and listen to what he has to say, because it may just be one thing that you take from this that may make the difference in your life. So stay tuned. Thank you. Hi, this is Basketball Tall, aka Robert Wilkins. Welcome to my channel. You are in for a treat today. I have someone who's very successful in the high school ranks of coaching high school basketball, and I'm very pleased to share him with you. His name is Jeff Coleman, also known as Slim to all of those that know him from way back. He's a very good friend of mine, and I've had the opportunity of playing college basketball with him, so we're very close. I want you to know, first of all, what this channel is about. This channel is about fulfilling your dreams, inspiring you to take the next step. It's about giving you hope, educating you, and also letting you know that if someone else did it, you can do it too. I'm going to bring you real life people to hear from, not coming from a book, real life success stories. So welcome my good friend, Jeff Slim Coleman, head coach of Kilgore High School in Kilgore, Texas. Welcome, Coach.
Hey, Robert, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing great, and always glad to see you. Let me tell my audience a little bit about you. Jeff, of course, went to Murray State College in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. And from there, he went on to become a point guard at East Central Oklahoma State University, now called East Central University. He did play basketball, high school basketball, in the largest class in the state of Louisiana back in the 70s at Huntington High School, where he earned some honors there. After East Central Oklahoma State University, he went on to become the head basketball coach at Graham High School in Graham, Oklahoma. Then from there, he went down to Idabel High School, and which is to this day the winningest coach in Idabel, Oklahoma high school history. Now the head coach at Kilgore High School in Texas. Coach, if you would, if anything else that you would like to expound on as to yourself, what it took for you to get where you are, why teaching, why coaching, what determined why get into that profession?
Well, Robert, I just feel like it was my destiny. When I finished high school, matter of fact, I was from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I played high school basketball at Huntington High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. We played in a pretty good district down there, and we had a lot of fun, and we enjoyed our tenure and our time there at Huntington High School.
Who were those teams you played against in Huntington, and the name of your head coach?
Larry Shoemaker was our basketball coach there. Coach Shoemaker came from Illinois, and he played his college basketball at Centenary College there before Robert Parrish got there. So Coach Shoemaker had a lengthy background as far as coaching is concerned, and he became our head coach. But Huntington was a very new school. He was the first head coach at Huntington, and I was there in the third. I think I was in the third graduating class out of Huntington back in the late 76, middle 77, 1976. And so we played basketball there, and we played against Booker T. Washington, Woodlawn. We played against Byrd High School, Southwood, Green Oaks. That was our district. We was in, I think, 148 District 148. And then we played against Airline and Bossier and Halton and those teams out of the Bossier Parish area. But we played against some really good competition, night in and night out.
You know, those schools brings back memories for me. I remember Halton and Airline and Woodlawn. I remember those schools because even though we were 100 miles east of you in Monroe, Louisiana, still we came your way and played some of those schools as well. But tell the audience, what did it take for you to get where you are coming out of high school? I'm sure there had to be some times where people made fun of you, you know, called your names, put you down. And were you successful every year in high school?
No, by no means. No, I was not successful every year. But Robert, when I first began to develop an interest in athletics, you know, I was a really little skinny guy. I was really slim. That's why slim stuck with me for all these years. And when I first began to, like I said, to begin to develop an interest in athletics, I was reared by my grandparents. And my grandparents were just hardworking people. They believed in that you had to learn the value of hard work if you want to make it in life. And I remember when I wanted to go out for the basketball team in the 7th grade, and then we had tryouts that night, my grandfather told me to come home. He told me to come home because we had work to do. And the amazing story about that, we had a chore to do. And when I got home that evening, he wasn't even at home, okay? And I just got really upset. And I went on outside and I did the chore anyway. So that's where I began to develop the work ethic that right there. And so when I would begin to, the next year in the 8th grade, he allowed me to play. He gave me permission that I could go out for the team. And I went out for the team and I made the basketball team. And one of the things that haunts me to this day is that, Robert, when I would go to places like Kilgore and Jez Park, Bethune, and to play those junior high, middle school games, there was always a group of guys somewhere in a corner somewhere. And they would just sit back and we'd be warming up and they just rag our basketball team. And they used to always, look at that little skinny guy right there. Look at that little skinny guy over there. Look at him, man. You just get really blown away and just, just harassing me, And as time went along, they always harassed me because I was kind of slim. But as I became a better player, then the tone of that kind of changed. It went from look at that little skinny guy to look at that little skinny guy. He can play, you see. And so as that happened, so did my confidence develop and my talent developed, and I became a pretty good player. And I was able to sign a letter of intent to go play basketball at Murray State Junior College.
Okay. So you left out of high school, went to Murray State College in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. But Coach, during that time, before you got out of high school, did you ever think about quitting? Because I know during my time, there were guys that were much better than me, but then for some reason they quit, got kicked off or whatever, bad behavior or whatever. Did you see that in during your time growing up as a kid, or maybe you even thought about quitting?
Well, back when we was playing high school basketball, guys, it was an honor to be on the varsity basketball team. It was like when you walk down the street and you on the varsity basketball team, people gave you a sense of respect because of you were a varsity basketball player. It seemed like it was something special about that. And once you got there, Robert, we did not want to mess that opportunity up. We wanted to stay there. We wanted to be a part of that, because everybody in the neighborhood knew who you were. And on Tuesdays and Friday night, people just come pack the gym to watch you play. Man, that was a great feeling. And yes, I've seen young people had great talent. Matter of fact, I played with a young man, I won't call his name, but he had great talent. But he just had his attitude, just would not allow him to let his talent excel on the roundball court. And he ended up being kicked off, or he ended up quitting, and he just walked away from it. I see that quite common today, where kids can't take coaching. They don't want to take that hard coaching. They don't want to be told that they have to play this way or that way. And they don't like it, so they choose to walk away, or they do things. You have to release them off the team.
And usually in hindsight, they have tremendous regret.
Yes, they really do.
Mm. So, Coach, let's move forward a little bit. So you were at Murray State College. You had some success there. Then you go on from there, and you end up going with Coach Wayne Cobb, who used to be the head coach at Murray State College in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. Then, of course, he became the head basketball coach at East Central Oklahoma State University in Ada, Oklahoma, which I also played with you there as well. You were our guard, and I played forward. And the thing about that, I want my audience to know, you became a Hall of Famer at East Central University. What an honor that is. And I'm proud of you for that, Coach, and you know that.
Thank you, Robert.
But tell us about your, the educational aspects as far as, the teaching, the coaching. When did you determine that you were going to coach and teach?
Well, when the great thing is about the atmosphere on college campuses is that, and I wasn't aware of that until I arrived there, is that everybody's seeking something. Everybody's seeking a way to better their life in the future. Everybody's trying to get an education. People are all positive about the education aspects of it. And therefore, some of that's rubbed off on guys like you and I. We've come from a different type of environment down in Shreveport, where I was an athlete, and I studied. I tried my best to become a good student, but it seemed like I was always found other things to take me away from my studies, but I was good enough to make my grades and stay eligible and to participate in athletics. I made sure of that. But as far as the honor roll and all that, if I had to do that all again, I would really put more emphasis in my education at a younger and earlier age, where I try to emphasize that with my young people now, because if you don't, you have regret about that later on in your life. So I went, after I left Murray State and I went to East Central, and the closer you get to the end of the tunnel, then you begin to wonder, what am I going to do with my life if I don't go to the NBA? Because most people have that aspect, that they think that we all going to end up in the NBA, and we're all not going to end in the NBA, because I think it's less than 5% of the guys even get to play in the Division I college basketball. Less than 2% of them get to go there. So it's a very, very tough occupation. But your talent had to be really, really exceptional for you to get to walk on an NBA floor, or even a Division I floor, or just to play any form of college athletic. You have to be somewhat exceptional, because the odds are against you from the get-go. So therefore, you just have to put a lot of work into it. You have to love what you're doing, and you gotta want to be the best.
Coach, ain't that the truth? Because, I know we all thought we were the best. And we all had that passion. And the thing about it is, everyone that plays athletics, I don't care what sport it is, have that desire to want to make it to the big dance, the big stage, that professional level. And the thing about it is, I remember I was watching ESPN some years back, and this was when they had 28 NBA teams. Today we have, I think 30. And they said back then that in the NBA, they only pick up about two new players per year on average. So back then, we're talking about 15 whatever years ago, about 2 new players per team on average. You're only looking at 56 new players per year making it into the NBA. And then you have to look at now today, if that's the same applies, you're looking at 60 players on an average making it into the NBA every year. And the thing is, that percentage of people they're getting from overseas now. So the odds are that much even slimmer. We're looking at less than 1% of the people making it into the NBA, not including all, the major leagues and, the NFL and all of that.
I don't want that to be a deterrent to keep you from playing athletics. I don't want you to think about your chances of going to the NBA or to playing Division I basketball or any aspect of that. I want you to look at it as looking at athletics as a maturing process. that where you can mature, learn discipline, learn to be a team player, learn to work with others, and learn to be a part of a structured organization. And now, you look at that and you say the NBA, but it's so many more avenues that the athletics can take you to beyond your wildest dreams. You know, you think that you can think that athletics is everything, but I played all the way through college, but I think I enjoy coaching more than I ever played to play. I mean, I think I really love my coaching because I get to work with young people every day to help them start their success in life or put them on that path in life. So therefore, I just think that athletics is something that can lead you in so many different avenues, not necessarily NBA.
Amen to that, Coach. But the thought of it is so that thought process, people put so much all into one basket and they
Yeah.
don't get to see the other avenues out there, which gives them a greater chance of succeeding than just all in that one basket.
And the main thing that I think the athletics teaches all young men is the responsibility of leadership. If you go out and you play athletics and you stay true to the game of athletics, then you have leadership you have leadership qualities. And then you can step out in the world on a different avenue and become a great leader in another occupation and do very well.
You know, all the good stuff that you said, that applies to, you know, any occupation.
That's right. That is so true. Any occupation, because, you know, like leadership skills, we need leadership skills drastically today in our society. And if we can get great leaders, then we're going to have people making good choices, guiding us, and making our society better.
Great, Coach. Let's go into your career. Okay, you leave East Central University. Tell me about how you got your first job.
Well, I was at East Central there, and I was working on my master's. And I was about 10 hours in on my master's, and it was in November. And something happened to the coach at a little small school down there in Oklahoma. And one of the board members called up to East Central looking for a basketball coach. And I had a good friend of mine who became a really good friend of mine. So he had made a recommendation that they look at Jeff Coleman. And so they called Coach Cobb, college basketball coach there, and he relayed the message to me. And I went over to Graham to interview for a job. And before that, Dash, you know, no, I'm sorry, Dash. Hey, Robert.
It's okay. It's okay.
And before that, you know, I was, like I said, I was working on my master's, man, and I had a job, working about 4 or 5 hours a night. You know, my life was pretty good. And I had doubt about going down there. And Coach told me, he says, Jeff, go down there and listen to what the people have to say. And so I went down there on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and I went to the board meeting, and I went in, and I did it with the board members, and they offered me the basketball job. They offered me a principalship to go along with it, but I just wasn't ready for that at that point in my life. And, but I told them I would take the basketball job. And I was very fortunate at that opportunity, because when I went there, I wasn't aware that Graham was a predominant powerhouse in small school Class B basketball in the state of Oklahoma. Now, and the reason I didn't know that, because from being from Louisiana, and we lived around Tishomingo and Ada, we knew about the local schools, but we didn't know about schools all over the state. And when I got that job, Robert, the very first poll came out in the state. My high school basketball team, Graham Bearcats, was ranked #1. We finished the season 27-2 that year. We lost 2 ball games, and I had never coached a day in my life. Now, I had the system, already had the system in place. The system was taught to me for 4 years from Coach Cobb, so I knew his system. So we went in and we implemented that system into Graham, and we were very successful with that system. So that system has served me well for going on 30-some plus years, because I haven't changed very much over the years. And my kids adjusted to it, and we became a very, very good fundamentally offensive team, and we were very, very tough on defense, man-to-man defense. and we would play 30. We played all over the floor, just a solid, hard-nosed man for 4 quarters, and it just paid off for us. See.
You know, that system you mentioned, Coach Cobb's system. And Coach Cobb, by the way, is the winningest coach in East Central University's history. So what you did, you just duplicated what you have always known. And
Exactly.
It worked for you.
Worked well for me. It will still work today for me.
So let's move forward. So after Graham High School, you then go to Idabel High School in Idabel, Oklahoma. And so tell me about that, Coach, because you're Idabel's winningest coach, and they've also named the court after you.
Well, I went to Idabel after Graham. I stayed at Graham for 8 years, and then I went to Idabel, and I coached there for 20 years. When I first arrived at Idabel, I was in the gym. We had open gym one evening, and I had a couple young men come into my office, Rodney Ingram and Carvon Burrs. And they walked in, they came into my office, and I said, "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" And they said, "Coach, we're glad you're here, man." And they said, "We are tired of losing." And that's all I needed to hear. And we put that team together. They were juniors at that time. So we came in and we put that basketball team together. I had a young man on that basketball team, was a sophomore. There was a high energy young man. He was just kind of a like high tempered at times. And we got halfway through the season, and I had to dismiss him off the team because of his attitude. And we talked about that a few minutes ago, about young men that have one issue or another that keep them from playing, and his attitude kept him from playing that year. And so we got about halfway through the season, and I had to dismiss him. And so we brought another young man in and took his place, and we could have been better with the other young man, but I just could not tolerate his attitude on daily because it's like a cancer to spread from one player to the other. So we had to dismiss him, but the team missed the state tournament by 1 game. We 1 game out, and we could have made the state tournament my first year at Idabel. Well, I brought all those kids back the next year, and I think they went something like 21-8 the next year and made it to the state tournament. And I brought that young man back that we were referring to that had the attitude. He came back in and never had a day's issue or problem with him because he understood that we weren't going to tolerate that. And so he went on. He's having a pretty successful life, like a lot of those young men that I coached at that time. So we just sit back and try to be a great basketball coach, but a better role model than coach, because we want to try to set these kids up for life. Not once they get through playing basketball, it's all over for them. We want to see what they do after that. And just like I was telling you earlier about how athletics can take you from off the court into another avenue and be successful, very successful.
Amen. Amen to that. It's kind of hard at times, being a coach, and you see talented players and you have to discipline them, even maybe kick them off the team for the betterment of the team. Like you said, it can be a cancer. And go ahead, Coach.
You have to understand that athletics is more than just winning and losing basketball games. Athletics is like setting the young men up for life. Being a great leader, being a good person, become a productive individual in your community, become a role model for young people. Excuse me. I always tell my young men, you never know who's watching you. You're out here you're a varsity basketball player or a varsity football player or a baseball player, and look over to your right, and there's that little 8-year-old boy that's looking at you. Man, he's loving everything you do. And all of a sudden, you get out there and have a bad attitude, he see that as well. And if he can see you display that attitude and still be part of something, hey, he might think that he can do it. And it might mess his career up. So therefore, you never know who's watching you. So that's why you always have to set a good example. Coaches, all of us, because we don't know who's watching us.
That is so true, Coach. I have a saying that, we don't know what people see in us, but we know what we see in them.
That's right.
That's So, Coach, tell me this. So you go down to Idabel and you turn the program around. And all of a sudden, Idabel becomes a powerhouse team. And how many times have you played in the state tournament, including with Graham, even in the finals? How many times?
Well, when you say that, Dash, you look at it and you say, how many times have I played in the state tournament? I played in the state tournament a lot, more than most people ever get to play in. And I played in 10 state tournaments in my career in Oklahoma. And I played in 5 state championship games. And we won one in 2005. We were real close in 2001 and lost by 2 points on the tip end of the buzzer. But, the thing about it is that I make sure you understand that, when you start looking at powerhouses and you think about teams who are consistently in the mix of things, most of those teams come out of Metroplex. They come out of cities. They don't come out of rural areas. Very seldom. Now, in smaller classes, they can come out of rural areas. But once you get into the 4A, 5A, and 6A, most of those teams that consistently go to the state tournament are teams that are in the Metroplex areas because they have more kids to choose from and they have the numbers. But when you come out of the rural part of Oklahoma, or rural part of Texas in the big school, it's kind of difficult for you to be consistent. And if you can establish a consistent program the way you enter the state tournament, you're in and you're out of every 2 or 3 years, then you have a really good program.
And that you did, because we're looking at Southeast Oklahoma, and then you find yourself competing against the Oklahoma City and the Tulsa schools as well. And you
Right.
did a very good job of it. They knew Idabel was there.
Thank you. That's true. We was figuring you out, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And it was just a great experience for me and my young people and the community.
Definitely. Now, you retire from Idabel High School in the state of Oklahoma. You retire. Then you go down to the state of Texas, and you take on a job at Kilgore High School in Kilgore, Texas. Coach, I know the story about that, and I know you don't like bragging, and I don't blame you. But I knew your first year there at Kilgore, because Kilgore was known, to my understanding, pretty much a laughing stock when it came. Everyone knew that was a win for them, but you turned that around. Tell us a little bit about that, Coach.
When I came to Kilgore, it was an interesting opportunity for me because I was seeking other things besides just coming down to coach, and I won't go into the other things. But yet, still, when I came to Kilgore, we had some talent. We had pretty good talent. I had a 6'7", 6'8", 9, maybe 6'9" guy playing for me on the post. But he also played right tackle on the football team. Most of my kids were football players. Okay, and basketball was not necessarily a priority for these young people here at Kilgore because, we in East Texas and football is a big thing here for those young people. We had a good thing going. We finally got that team turned around and they started looking pretty good. But then we had some altercations. Then we had to release some players because they didn't fit into what the system was asking them to do. And, they were so used to doing some other things which led to them not being as successful as they should have been. And so we had to release some of those kids. But so we came back in the next year and had a pretty good basketball team because they began to understand the things that I need done. We won 20 ball games, had a real season. And the most remarkable thing about that is we finally made the playoff after a 30-year drought.
Coach, that's unheard of.
And,
I've never heard any team going 30-year drought, not ever making to the playoffs in 30 years. That's unheard of to me. And I remember seeing that newspaper article that you led them to the playoffs after 30 years. Wow. What an accomplishment that was. Not just that, you won the first playoff game. Wow. Talk about turning around the program. And plus, I followed you. I've come to some of your games, and you've been as long as you've been at Kilgore, you've been in the playoffs every year since then.
But that first year, And so the next year we came in and we won the first. We won the first playoff game that second year and lost the second round. And the next year we won the first two playoff game and lost in the third round. And then the fourth year we go to the regional tournament, and the team just became better and better and better. And it was just a heck of a, like I say, it was a heck of an experience, and I really enjoyed it. And I had those kids. I've had one kid that played on won a national championship in the NAIA basketball, was on one of my teams. I had another kid that played in the national junior college tournament that I coach here at Kilgore. And I have another kid that's played in the national junior college up in Pineville, Kentucky. So we can have several kids that go on to play basketball, and we signed a kid this year to go to Mountain View to play college basketball. So we've been doing pretty good down here.
And by the way, going back to Oklahoma at Kilgore, you was also the athletic director, and you had a pretty good ball player there when y'all won. He played at Wichita State up in Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, he played at Missouri State.
Missouri State. Thank you, Coach.
Up at Springfield, Missouri. He played at mid-division I school. He was a pretty good player. Chris Cook was his name. He was a heck of a player. He was just, he just played well. And boy, we were just very fortunate to have Chris Cook to play for us at Idabel.
You're talking about following that same trail that we followed and went on and had some success and having a good, career, professionally. I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking about occupation for his career jobs. Now, Coach, at Kilgore, you decided to leave Kilgore High School, and you decided to move from Class 4A to the top of the cream of the crop at Class 6A in the state of Texas. Would you like to tell me about that?
Well, Robert, it was an experience. I always wanted to coach in the big schools and see what it was like to coach in the big schools. One thing I found out about coaching is coaching. It don't make a difference where you're at. The name may sound different, but coaching is coaching, whether you're at a Class B school or a 6A school. You're going to go in and you're going to do the things that you know to do, and you're going to do it exactly like you always done it. And we did that over at Lee. We made the playoff the first year, but the second year we did not make the playoff, and I did not return after that year. And then I left there and I went to Gladewater, and I stayed over there for a year. We made the playoff over there, and then I stayed there for 1 year, and I came back to Kilgore. And I'm just very happy here at Kilgore, coaching and doing the things that I do. But Robert, the thing what people don't understand is that I have a system, and I believe in my system. And I haven't changed my system, regardless of what people think about my system or say I need to do or don't do. But my system works. It works for me. And this is why I think that I've been successful at it, because I haven't changed my system. I think that I'll use this analogy for whenever and whomever created the wheel, it was round then and it's round today. Okay, so therefore it haven't changed much. We bling it up, we make it pretty, but guess what? The dynamics is still round. And that's the way the game of basketball is. We can run up and down the floor, we can change it, the pace of the game, or we can speed it up, or we can press it all over the floor. But we've seen that before. We've seen that when we played high school basketball. You've seen it forever. So what have changed, really? I think the biggest change is discipline. I think our kids are not as disciplined as they used to be. I think that's why some of these kids have a hard time dealing with things, because lack of discipline. And we had great discipline, and so therefore we didn't have some issues that we had to deal with from a coaching perspective anyway.
Because today's time, you have to deal with AAU, primetime sports, and those guys who coach these guys, aren't they feeding certain things in these players' ears? And when they have to come back to play on a high school competitive level?
Well, sometimes we say things to our players just to keep our players happy. And we're not telling our kids that you have to be disciplined if you want to play for certain individuals out there in the coaching profession on the college level. Then we're not telling our kids how to be able to handle some adversity. When you walk into the gym and you are not the best player in the gym anymore because you got other players, then how are you going to handle those situations? Are you going to wait your turn? Are you going to get upset or transfer? Or are you going to just quit? See, because of you're not used to being the second fiddle or the third fiddle. You're used to being the number one guy in the gym. And that's going to change as you progress up the ladder. The biggest thing for young people in life is to be able to grasp an idea or something that they enjoy doing and stick with it. And stick with it. Because see, even I and most of us, we've always had doubt about some things in our lives. You know, like I said, that I've kept my system intact for many years. And then sometimes I go off and we have the season is not going like I feel like the season is ought to be going. And I'll go watch a basketball game and these guys out there sitting screen, back screen, looking real good, throwing alley-oop. Boy, and I said, yeah, I like that. That looks good. And I come home and I try to do that kind of stuff. Then I realize, no, this is not for me. This is just not what I want to do because it don't fit what I am and what I want to do. So therefore, I just go right back to where I've always been, and we just get better as the season go along because I believe in what we're doing.
Coach, you know, it's very obvious that coaching does make a difference in a team. It's obvious. You can look at you, and there's some other winning coaches as well because of the formula, the type of system that they have. But your method of system never grows old because the system that you use is the same system that's been used by legends. Would you expound on that?
Well, I can trace the lineage all the way back to Hank Albert in one sense, because my college coach played for Bloom and Sullivan, and his college coach was an assistant for Hank Albert, and they worked together. And so some of the things that I learned from some really good basketball coaches down the line. And some guys that other coaches who played for Bloom and Sullivan are friends of mine through my college basketball coach. And we could sit down, or they'd have sit down, and I was sitting at the table, and I just had my ears wide open listening to what they had to say about these basketball coaches. And they just kind of passed along to me. And I just try to keep that legacy going and doing the things that is good for the game of basketball.
So knowledge implemented properly is power.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the parents, to our youth, to our those that has aspirations to do better in life, to achieve their dreams, their goals? Is there anything that you would like to relate to this audience?
Well, the thing that I can say to my parents is, I know you love your children, but you have to let coaches coach your kids. And you have to have faith in your coaches to do the right thing by your kids, okay? You know, like we're not out there trying to promote an individual to be better than everybody else. We're trying to help young men fit into a system and let them play together. And like my grandmother say, this is an old saying, and I don't know most people can comprehend what I'm going to say. And they said, if you churn the milk, the cream will come to the top. And you can't stop the cream from coming to the top. If your son is the best player out there on the floor, can't no coach and nobody else stop him from being the best player on the floor. I don't care what system they're doing, he's going to be the best player on the floor.
Amen to that. Amen to that, Coach. And I want to thank all my viewers for tuning in. And I know that I grabbed some valuable substance here that can be applied to all our lives, because you're getting information from real people that have achieved and succeed in their chosen professions. What more knowledge do you need from someone who's done it? And so also, if you would please, if you like the content that I'm sharing with you on this channel, please subscribe and also hit the like button, because that lets YouTube know that you like the type of content that I'm displaying here. And also press the share button, because people need to know what you know, because there's someone out there that needs to hear what you just heard. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments box, please. So Coach, What a tremendous friend you are. I'm glad to know you. And I know this information that you just shared is going to help somebody, because if they can just get one nugget, which you've given several, if they really hone in and listen to what you just said, it's going to make their lives better in more than just one way. Any closing remarks?
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you later.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.